Okay, this is Tornado Math set for Monday. I hope that you have already attempted to do some of these on your own and you're ready to check. So let's look at number 1. It says round the numbers by plotting, and remember plotting means to make a little dot, the numbers on the number lines. So first of all, when you see a question that tells you to round means that the number is going to end in a 0. It's round. So just remember, rounding means my number is going to end in a 0. Now, it wants you to round the number 73 to the nearest 10. So let's see. If you're rounding 73, that means it's asking you, is it closer to 70 or is it closer to 80? Okay? Now, as in all number lines, the part that where it's divided would be 75. And as we've learned, if it gets to 75 or more, then we get to go up to the next ride, don't we? Okay? So, if it goes to 75, the seesaw is going to balance toward the 80. It would be closer to 80 because the seesaw would lean that way. So, if our number though is 73. So if this is 75, this is 70, this would be 71, 72, 73. Now that's how you would plot it. So 73, as we can see, did not make it to the halfway point, did it? So 73 rounded to the nearest 10. Now I'm also going to show you how we do it. 73, if we didn't have a number line, rounded to the nearest 10. That means this is the place we are going to round. We look next door. It was not 5 or more, so the 7 stays the same. Everything behind the 7 turns into a 0. So as you can see, both methods work. 73 rounded to the nearest 10 is 70. And if you look down here, it was closer to the 70 than it was to the 80. So when you round something, you're getting it as close to the nearest 10 as you can. Okay? Now, let's look at the next one. It says round 879, rounded to the nearest 100. Okay, so that means this is going to be 800. Is it closer to 800 or is it closer to 900? Okay, so remember, this would be 850 because 850 comes between 800 and 900. Now, it's wanting us to put 879 on the plot. Well, we know it's after 850. This would be 860. This would probably be, 870. This would be 880. So 879 would be about right there. Okay? So, is it closer to 900 or is it closer to 800? Well, you just did it pass the middle mark? And if it did, yes, then it gets to go up. So, it is rounded to 900. Now, if you didn't have a number line, it would look something like this. 879 rounded to the nearest 100. So we see the hundredths place is here, and it is the digit 8. We're going to look next door. The 7 is more than 5, so we get to plus 1. The 8 becomes a 9. Everything behind the 8 turns into a 0. So set 879 rounded to the nearest hundred is 900. So remember to use your strategies, and even if you don't have a number line to draw it out on, you will get it correct. All right, let's look at number 2. It says write and solve an equation. Equation means you should have written a number sentence to show the total. So we're looking for the total number of squares. Now, in 3rd grade, I know you learned about arrays. If you're looking for the total number of squares, you can use an array or the area model. And we know that area equals length times width. So the length, count your side going down, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, is 7. The width is the top, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So then I know my length is 7. I have to make a times. My width is 8. And you have your equation. 7 times 8. And 7 times 8 equals 56. Now, if you want to check yourself, of course, you can count each square to make sure you have 56 squares. All right, number 3, strip diagrams. We love strip diagrams because they tell us what to do. And we see on this one, we have a total. So that means we're looking for an answer that is in the bottom section of my strip diagram. That means we are going to go down, and I have 2 parts that need to be put together to make 903. I'm looking for the missing part. And anytime we're looking for a missing part, we subtract. Okay? So here we go. Remember, when you're subtracting, the bigger number always goes on top. And remember also, write very neat, line up your ones place, your tens place, and your hundreds place. Now, let's just subtract. More on the top, don't stop. 3 minus 0 is 3. More on the bottom, we've got a problem. So we do have a problem. So we say more on the floor, go next door. So I'm going to go next door and borrow 1 from the 9. It's going to make him an 8. I'm going to give him to my buddy the 0 here, and it's going to make him a 10. So 10 minus 5 is 5. 8 minus 1 is 7. So now I have the numbers to make my equation. So my equation should read 903 minus 150 equals 753. All right, number 4. What is the length of the 2 rectangles combined? Ooh, this is a tricky one. Now, this is a tricky one because it's kind of going backwards. It's just looking for the length, okay? Now, if you see this square, that means, again, we're looking for area. We have to look for area in order to find the length. because area is length times width. Well, we don't know the length, so we're going to put a question mark here, because on this square, it's looking for the length, okay? We do know one part. What is the part that we know? The width. So the width is 6, okay? We do know the area because they put the number inside the box. So now we know the area is 24. So 24 equals something times 6. So we have a missing part with times, means 6 times what is 24? Or 24 divided by what equals 6? Because remember, multiplication is, in fact, families, it can go backwards and forwards. Well, we know that 4 times 6 is 24. So now we have found the length of this square, okay? But it said find the length of the two rectangles combined. So now I've got to go over here and I've got to write my formula. Area equals length times width. Now the nice thing about writing that formula is you can just plug in your numbers, okay? So, but you're saying, I know my area is 36 because it's in the middle. But it didn't give me a length or a width over here, did it? Well, let's go find something we know. If the width of this side is 6 feet, isn't this side the same thing? So this side would have to be 6 feet as well because they are the same, okay? So now we know one of our sides is 6. So we'll plug it into our formula. So 36, something times 6 is going to equal 36. Or 36 divided by 6 equals, and we know that 6 times 6 is 36. So now I have found that this length up here, the missing length, is 6. So remember that formula. Area equals length times width. Plug it in, find what you know, and you will be able to solve. Now, it said it wants to find the length of the two rectangles combined. And what does combined mean? It means we join them together. And we know that we join things together by adding them together. So I'm going to take the length of this rectangle and the length of my second rectangle, and I'm going to add them together. So I see the length of them is going to be 10, and the unit of measurement was square feet. So I am going to put 10 feet. All right, we'll be doing a lot of those later on during the year. But it's just a missing part. So set it up as a missing part. Now for the problem of the day. Macy's grandmother made 5 dozen. When you saw dozen, you should have coded that with the number 12 cookies. But 12 of them were burned while she was baking them. Now we know if something's burned, we have to think about it. She's probably not going to use those. They are probably going to go way. But let's read our question and see if we have any more clues that tell us what to do. 12 of them were burned while she's baking. How many? We're going to box that because that tells us to look behind those two words. We're looking for the cookies that were left. See the word left? The word left always means your answer is going to get smaller. Okay? So, let's look at our numbers. She made 5 dozen. So we know in each dozen there are 12 cookies. She made 5 dozen. We know she burned 12, so we're going to take those away. So she's not using them. How many were left? Well, I have 1, 2, 3, 4 groups of 12. And you notice I said groups. Groups in the same number means we can multiply. So 12 times 4 equals 4 times 2 is 8. 4 times 1 is 4. So now I know I have 48, cookies left.